was just me and my little brother. Until everything changed in an instant. A heart-wrenching tale of betrayal. I am Lena. At 20, I came home for summer break from university, and what happened next was nothing less than extraordinary. A choice ignited by the rush of now. A flame of inspiration surged inside me. What if I could leave my parents in awe, dragging my suitcase along the well-worn streets of my small hometown? A rush of excitement surged within me. Silently, I approached, heart racing. The thought of their shock sent a thrill through me. With a swift motion, I flung the front door wide, my heart pounding at the thought of my parents' warm embraces and their astonished faces. An unsettling stillness surrounded me. He felt a pang of despair as the house loomed, silent and empty. A haunting reminder of their absence. As disappointment pressed heavily on my chest, a familiar voice broke the silence, calling my name with an urgency that sent chills racing through me. Liam, my younger brother, had just stepped into adulthood. At 18, he towered over me, his smile a beacon of warmth that could chase away shadows. "Oh, Liam," I gasped, dropping my bags as we clung to each other fiercely. It was a simple, instinctive greeting, but his remarkable maturity lingered in my mind. As Liam walked away, I closed the door, a heavy sigh escaping into the stillness. The silence wrapped around the house, heavy and suffocating, as the realization that I was finally home pierced through me, deep and undeniable. After the exhausting drive from university, weaving through crowded buses and the chaos of train stations, a fierce need to dispel my fatigue ignited within me. I rushed to the shower, excitement coursing through me with every stride. Scalding water poured over me, washing away the dust and exhaustion of my journey. In that instant, after endless weeks of strain, a surge of peace washed over me. The semester raged on, a tempest of assignments, deadlines closing in, and the unforgiving rush of university life. As I stood beneath the rushing water, my shoulders fell, and I finally exhaled the breath I'd been holding for so long. Emerging from the shower, I donned a summer dress that swirled around me, a gentle caress of warmth. The fabric clung softly to her skin, a tender touch that promised solace and simplicity. The outfit enveloped her, a warm embrace in moments of solitude, free from expectation's burden. Each step was a whisper as I approached my room. The door creaked open, and warmth wrapped around me like a long-lost embrace. The old posters clung to the walls, shadows of a forgotten past. The bed, perfectly made, held my cherished pattern sheets, a bittersweet reminder of what once was. I felt the weight of a past life, its whispers pulling me back to who I used to be. A shadow of unease clung to my thoughts, haunting me through the relentless grind of school and the unyielding demands of work. I was lost, my life unraveling, each moment slipping away like grains of sand. The bond I took for granted has vanished, leaving a deep, painful emptiness behind. There were brief encounters, moments that flared like candle flames, yet nothing lasting, nothing that truly resonated. In a cramped dorm, escape was a rare flicker, where thin walls held secrets and curious roommates hovered just outside the door. As I fell onto my bed, the thought clung to me, a relentless shadow in the darkness. It was a desperate ache for connection, a journey back to myself, a fierce awakening to the whispers of my own needs, raw and undeniable. I grabbed my phone, scrolling aimlessly, fingers racing with urgency. But soon, my mind ventured into the unknown. Reclining against the soft pillows, my fingers brushed my skin, sending a shiver of excitement through me. A fierce call surged within me, an undeniable journey of self-discovery that pulled me onward. My fingers danced over my arms, tracing the curve of my collarbone, brushing against the soft fabric of my dress. I exhaled shakily, giving in to the moment, letting myself feel, reconnect, and finally unwind after the unyielding storm I had faced. A knock at the door jolted me, yanking me from the abyss of my thoughts. My heart pounded, rising in my throat as I almost tossed my phone aside. Liam's voice sliced through the darkness, pulling everyone in. With a quick gesture, I adjusted my dress, a rush of anticipation coursing through me as I signaled for him to come in. Liam took a deep breath, heart pounding, hesitating for a heartbeat before stepping into the unknown. A tempest raged within him, hidden yet powerful. His serious expression hung heavy in the air, an unusual sight for him. He lingered in the doorway, and an awkward silence stretched between us. He reached the edge of my bed, his hand running through his hair, restless, as if the right words were just out of reach, waiting to shatter the silence. His intentions twisted in my mind, a relentless ache of doubt. His visit carried a heavy significance, pulling me in, demanding my focus. Liam perched at the edge of my bed, his face a mask of unvoiced turmoil, and the tension of his discomfort pressed down around us. He stood quiet, tension coiling within him, his face revealing the battle for the right words to start. I stayed quiet, giving him space to untangle the chaos in his mind. Finally, the words burst forth from his lips. His words faltered, uncertain, but then surged, a flood of story that swept all away. He started to unveil the tale of his girlfriend, a bond intricately stitched into the very essence of his existence. What I had heard before was a vivid dream, a young couple swept away in a storm of passion, where every heartbeat pulsed with joy and thrill. Beneath the flawless surface, a haunting truth simmered, exposing their joy as nothing but a fragile mirage. Liam opened up a chaos between them, a tempest of conflict sparked by both small grievances and deep-seated issues. Despite his relentless efforts, despair clung to him, murmuring that he could never deliver the joy she yearned for. Frustration would explode from her, while he remained blissfully ignorant. Each clash drained him completely. He poured out his heart, but doubt hung heavy, tormenting him with the thought of whether he could bear this storm any longer. The relationship turned dark, shifting from bliss to an unbearable weight he couldn't escape. His words hit me hard, a stark reminder of the deep change since we last met, shaking my very core. He was no longer the boy I once teased and cared for. He had become a stranger. A quiet maturity enveloped him, a depth I had never seen until this moment. A sudden clarity hit me, exposing the depth of his transformation. It was more than just his imposing figure that captivated me. His broad shoulders and sharp features demanded attention. A profound depth, a maturity echoing in every look and movement. He strode forward, a bold transformation from the doubt that once clung to him. I clung to his every word, while my mind raced with the shocking truth that had just emerged about him. He had a magnetic charm, a power that ensnared attention and refused to let go. It was unsettling, a shocking moment to see him change so unexpectedly. He started to unveil himself, shedding layers I had never seen. He described the crushing exhaustion of always being the one to mend things, carrying the heavy load of apologies, even when he felt unfairly compelled to atone. He admitted that the thought of leaving her lingered, but he wrestled with the fear of whether he could actually do it. I longed to touch him, to murmur words that could soothe his suffering. The silence pressed down, a reminder that words would always fall short. I surrendered to the powerful instinct that ignited inside me. I drew closer, wrapping him in my arms. The hug throbbed with deep feeling, a bond that went beyond simple courtesy. A silent promise, palpable and profound, echoed my understanding and steadfast support for him. In that moment, I pulled him close. A thick tension filled the air. Reality itself seemed to shift. As he melted into my embrace, warmth surged around us, and in that instant I felt every nuance of him deeply. His hair grazed my cheek, a fleeting warmth, as his cologne wrapped around me like a haunting memory. His breath slowed, a haunting calm enveloping us. My hand moved to his hair, brushing it back with a gentle caress. My fingertips brushed softly, and suddenly I was tracing the line of his jaw, descending to the heat of his neck. A simple act, yet it pulsed with an intensity that crackled with unspoken implication. He yielded to the moment, melting into my touch with a quiet intensity. My mind surged, a storm of clashing thoughts, fighting for dominance, each pulling me in a new direction. Fear held me captive as I stood there, paralyzed, unable to understand why I couldn't break free. Perhaps it was his unwavering presence, or the raw emotions crashing around us. I couldn't help myself, no matter what it was. In a fleeting instant, we shared a profound silence, lost in a conversation about life and the journey of growing up. A reckless choice made in an instant before uncertainty can take hold. He froze for a moment, shock flashing in his eyes, but then his hand moved to the place I had directed it. A thick tension crackled in the air. Uncertainty and intrigue envelop him, a storm of emotions brewing. His touch was warm, tentative, caught in a fragile balance of desire and the dread of overstaying. His fingertips traced delicate circles on my thigh, each movement creeping upward, charged with a thrilling intent. My heart pounded, each beat a thunderous echo, as heat coursed through my veins, electrifying every nerve with raw anticipation. Uncertainty hung heavy, yet an unseen force drove me forward, unable to stop the relentless journey ahead. Every nerve in me sparked to life, ignited by his touch, a sensation I hadn't experienced in years. Time stretched as we clung to each other, his hand exploring gently while I surrendered, my face lost in the warmth of his neck. My body moved like it was under a spell, shifting and arching at his touch, reacting to every subtle movement he made. As the tension peaked, the front door swung open with a sudden creak, shattering the silence. I flinched, my hand starting to fix my dress in a desperate rush, his face burning with shame. He staggered back, panic etched on his face as he sought to escape me. Before I could breathe, my parents' voices erupted, a storm of excitement, worry, and relief swirling around me. I gathered all my strength to stand and confront them, my mind a storm of chaos from what had just happened. They wrapped around me, fierce and urgent, their voices a storm of questions, demanding to know why I hadn't warned them of my sudden arrival. As we sat at the dinner table, laughter echoed, but my thoughts were trapped in that chilling moment, alone in my room. His touch haunted me, an electric jolt that coursed through my veins, sparking a flame I couldn't douse. My heart raced at the thought that he could be thinking the same. The evening faded into a haze of doubt as I shared fleeting words and laughter with my parents. A storm raged inside, dragging my mind far from the moment we had. My mind raced to that moment with him, his touch igniting a fire within me, the electric energy crackling in the air between us. It wrapped around me with a force I couldn't escape, no matter how hard I fought back. That night, as I lay in bed, sleep evaded me, slipping away like sand, teasing and cruel. I twisted in my bed, thoughts spiraling, each moment replaying like a haunting film, never letting go. His gaze held me as we parted, fingers brushing, igniting a warmth that crackled in the air, a closeness that was almost unbearable. It crashed over her, a tempest of thoughts and feelings, relentless and consuming. Questions swirled in my mind, each one devouring my thoughts. What turmoil raged within him? Did he bear the same burden I did? It felt strange, a tension hanging in the air, brushing against the familiar yet remaining just out of reach. An unspoken truth lingered, a heavy weight we both sensed but couldn't voice. Every glance crackled with unspoken tension, casting us into a turbulent sea of uncertainty. My eyes were irresistibly pulled to him, captivated by the nuances I had missed before. His jawline tightened, hair falling over his forehead, movements fluid yet enigmatic, each one whispering a hidden truth. Every time we crossed paths, my heart raced, and I was swept away in a storm of memories from our brief encounters. Did he feel the weight of my stare as it held on to him? Did he feel the same magnetic pull, or was he just pushing forward, acting as if nothing had ever happened? No matter how fiercely I fought, the suffocating grip of my mind held me captive. As my parents drifted away into their own worlds, I was left alone, trapped in a storm of thoughts, each one more haunting than the one before. In the silence of my room, I was ensnared in an unending cycle, reliving that moment repeatedly, each time imagining a new ending, a different choice that could have altered my fate. What if the door had never opened at all? What if we had pushed forward, unwavering and fierce? The unending flood of questions ignited a profound turmoil inside me. Evening shadows crept in, and I was entranced by my phone's glow, lost in a relentless scroll. My dad burst into the living room, his face a mask of gravity. He told me he and my mom were leaving for the night, their errands dragging them from the warmth of home. His apology cut deep, a raw confession of his abandonment. I smiled, masking the ache, assuring him all was well. Once they left, a heavy silence swallowed the house whole. It was only us, the silence enveloping us, amplifying every whisper that threatened to shatter the calm. My thoughts spiraled, adrift in a book's embrace, entranced by the dancing images on the screen. Is there a way out to another realm? My thoughts kept drifting to the heat of his hand on my leg, the thrill of our closeness consuming me. The idea ignited, clutching my mind fiercely, demanding attention, impossible to ignore. I battled my own mind, trying to find clarity in the storm, but the pull was too strong, pulling me further into darkness. Yesterday's echoes pierced my thoughts, relentless and vivid, as the seductive call of surrendering to my desires pulled me in with fierce temptation. Late hour, shadows closing in. I battled my thoughts until a decision emerged, one that would alter everything. The house was cloaked in silence, darkness pressing in, pierced only by the soft rhythm of Liam's breath, echoing through the thin walls. My heart raced as I crept toward his room, bare feet whispering against the hardwood floor. The door creaked open, revealing a haunting scene that froze me in place. He lay there, turned away. He seemed at peace, his breath calm and rhythmic under the soft glow of the nightlight. For a heartbeat, I was paralyzed, my eyes fixed on him, grappling with the gravity of my choice, wondering if I could really make that jump. In that brief instant, uncertainty disappeared, and my feet surged ahead, irresistibly pulled to his bed. I sat beside him, calm washing over me as we shared a fleeting moment of peace. The bed creaked, his warmth wrapping around me, pulling me into the depths of this fleeting moment. At first I was frozen, entranced by the rhythm of his breath and the gentle rise and fall of his chest. As time dragged, my breaths grew frantic, each inhale a desperate gasp in the mounting tension. Drawn by an unseen pull, I reached out, my fingertips grazing his arm. A fragile touch into the abyss. He stirred, breath quickening, a silent signal of awakening. He rolled onto his back, confusion swirling in his eyes. The instant he saw me, a spark of recognition ignited within him. His shock was electric. His eyes flared, truth crashing in like a wave. I silenced him before he could speak or react. We sat close, the weight of our shared past heavy in the air, each moment echoing the transformation we had undergone. He stopped, his muscles tightening for a brief instant under my touch. In that moment, he let go, entrusting me to lead us into the unknown. In an instant, chaos erupted. My senses ignited, each detail piercing and alive. His hand's warmth sparked something deep. Fingers hesitated, sensing the weight of the moment. Then, moved with growing confidence, revealing his emerging ease, my heart raced, a fierce beat that resonated in my ears, as a shiver swept over me, igniting every nerve in a blaze. The moment consumed me, its intensity holding me captive. It throbbed with a deep vulnerability, an unpolished core that echoed with stark truth. Perfection meant nothing. Their connection was everything. An unspoken bond tethered us, a magnetic pull drawing our bodies together, intertwining even in the unfamiliar moment. An unseen line shattered, sealing our destiny with no way back. In a charged instant, I leaned in, closing the gap that had long kept us apart. Time twisted, each moment a lifetime held in a heartbeat. My fingers grazed his shoulder, a spark flaring to life between us. In a heartbeat, I leaned in. Our lips collided in a kiss heavy with unvoiced emotions. The kiss erupted, a spark of electric tension that had been building between us forever. I pushed him back, pinning him to the couch beneath me. I pressed my palms against his shoulders, feeling him melt into the cushions, as his hands instinctively gripped my waist, sending a rush of excitement through me. Our words intertwined, a bond deepening between us, stronger than ever. The electric closeness, our bodies almost fused, was breathtakingly intoxicating. The kiss intensified, each second lingering, heavy and purposeful, as if the universe paused in awe. His hands clutched my waist, a firm yet tender grip, anchoring him amidst the storm of emotions that engulfed us. My hands moved to his face, thumbs tracing the rough stubble of his jawline. The heat of his skin and the roughness of his stubble under my fingers sparked a storm of emotions in my gut. Tilting my head, I sought the perfect angle for the kiss. His lips parted slightly, sending a thrill through me, urging me to press closer, completely lost in the moment. Our bodies pressed together, and I took control, commanding the rhythm and intensity. Leading held an undeniable power, a force intertwined with profound intimacy, fierce and all-consuming. His heartbeat pounded against me, a relentless echo of the tension between us, his hands gripping my waist, as if terrified I might vanish. Our breaths quickened, each inhale and exhale syncing with the dance of our lips, a heartbeat shared in the silence. Sometimes I would pull away just enough to absorb him. His half-closed eyes, the gentle curve of his lips, and the way his chest rose and fell as if fighting for breath. In those brief, electric moments when he gazed at me, I felt like the center of his universe, and my heart raced, teetering on the edge of bursting. I leaned in, my lips grazing his jawline, softly gliding over his cheek, teasing the corner of his mouth before finally claiming his lips again. Each kiss held its own universe, some quick and playful, others lingering like a timeless embrace, as if we were savoring every drop from the well of existence. His hands moved with a desperate need, sliding up my back and down to my thighs. His touch lingered, slow and purposeful. It was deliberate, a silent trust, as he handed me the reins, believing I could mold the very air around us. His control stoked the flames of my desire. Hovering above him felt like fate, as if this was exactly where I was meant to be. His body met mine, igniting a cascade of shivers that raced down my spine. Every slight movement sparked a flame inside me as he tried to close the distance. Even in our closeness, a surge of adrenaline ignited within me, a clash of power and fragility, as I faced him, in control yet completely exposed. If only he could feel the weight of my longing, the endless dreams of him above me, as the charged silence between us ignited into something real. His hands gripped my waist, and the fire in his gaze, brimming with raw vulnerability, sparked an insatiable longing inside me. It surpassed simple attraction or chemistry. A fierce longing to break the barriers that had kept us apart ignited inside me. But just as the fire between us blazed, reality crashed in like a relentless wave. As night fell, I pondered our transformations, the stark contrast of our lives now that time had passed. Charging forward into the unknown that awaited, this was the moment that altered the course of fate. I craved to plunge further, to break free from the limits of soft kisses and tender caresses. A fierce energy surged within me, flaring with every one of his actions. In that brief silence, my voice dropped, firm and unwavering, as I asked, "Do you have anything?" His face transformed, confusion flickering before a sudden, bright realization ignited within him. His cheeks flushed, igniting with a tender blush, as he gave me a shy, mesmerizing smile. He confessed, his voice tinged with a blush of shame. "I never saw it coming, never understood we would, you know." My eyes fixed on him, a storm of disbelief and frustration raging inside. At 18, he was caught in the whirlwind of young love, grappling with the exhilarating yet chaotic tides of his relationship. And not a single condom in sight. A bitter laugh slipped from my lips as I shook my head, watching him fumble over his words, trying to explain himself, mumbling about how he never expected this tonight. It captivated, yet drove me to madness. "Seriously, Liam," I spoke, laughter slipping out, my heart pounding as I struggled to keep the energy alive between us. "What kind of boyfriend falters when it counts the most?" He shrugged, helplessness and a flicker of apology crossing his face. "I guess I'm not as prepared as I thought," he mumbled, his voice a fragile whisper, heavy with doubt. I pressed my head against his chest, searching for comfort in the steady beat of his heart, grappling with the weight of my next move. I couldn't bring myself to stop. I felt utterly helpless. My feelings for him roared inside me, a storm I couldn't escape. Leaving it all behind, with everything at stake, was a weight I couldn't endure. In that crucial moment, I chose to alter my path, grasping the opportunity with fierce resolve. If he wasn't prepared, then so be it. This night would be carved into his soul forever. I sank down, my body brushing against his, traveling from his hips to his thighs. His breath hitched as I moved, And in that instant, a fierce confidence ignited inside me. His hands, once secure on my waist, shifted slightly, a nervous movement as the air thickened with tension, hinting that everything was on the brink of transformation. Curled up between his legs, I gazed up, my fingers brushing his knees, then tracing the curves of his thighs. His body coiled, a heavy tension crackling in the air, bracing for the uncertainty that awaited. His breath caught again, a clear sign of the turmoil raging inside. I felt the strain in his attempt to stay calm, but his body betrayed him with each small reaction. His fingers clawed the couch, thighs taut under my hand, chest heaving with wild, uneven breaths. A fleeting smile graced my lips as I leaned in for another kiss, this time lower, sensing the tension in his body escalate with each intentional move I made. His responsiveness was mesmerizing. I basked in the control I had, how my simple presence and a soft touch could unravel him completely. A playful grin tugged at my lips as I pressed another kiss to his stomach, my hands venturing further into the mystery. His skin pulsed with heat beneath my touch, and every slight shift sent a fresh tremor through him. Watching him fall apart, knowing I was the spark that ignited this chaos, sent chills through me. With each step, I felt him gradually release his fears. He sank into the couch, tension slipping away, lost in the warmth of comfort. He began to sway with me, a soft movement at first, his hips moving in sync, his hands finding their way back to my shoulders, searching for something solid to hold on to. With every strained breath he drew, the soft whispers slipping from his lips sparked an unyielding fire in my heart. His sensitivity took my breath away. Every slight shift intensified his response. His body pulsed with a silent intensity, drawing me into his hidden yearnings, exposing a craving that sparked an unexpected fire within me. The moment he surrendered completely, lost in ecstasy, sent a jolt of exhilaration through me, heightening every feeling. In that instant, a soft, almost silent groan escaped him, igniting a fierce fire inside me. I paused, eyes fixed on him, head tilted back, lips parted. He closed his eyes, surrendering to the intoxicating moment that consumed him. He was mesmerizing, completely vulnerable, sparking an intense urge in me to move forward. As it all unraveled, a storm of feelings crashed inside me. The adrenaline faded, but the electric pulse in my chest remained, relentless and alive. I stood from the couch, heart heavy, the weight of recent events suffocating me like a thick fog. Uncertainty engulfed me, a storm of doubt raging within. A piece of me was trapped in the heat of the moment, the raw energy it sparked inside me. I was trapped in a bubble, a realm where nothing else mattered, where everything aligned perfectly. Here I stood, lost in the silence that lingered, wrestling with a deep, unsettling doubt. I shot a quick look back, my heart pounding at the sight of him on the couch, an image that hung in the air like a ghostly whisper. His chest rose and fell, a frantic struggle to grasp the breath that slipped away. His eyes closed, a calm smile touched his lips, exuding peace as if he had returned from a profound, transformative odyssey. His body pulsed with remnants, a sign I couldn't overlook. I cleared my throat, trying to break the heavy silence, but inside, chaos reigned as I struggled to keep my cool. "You've crossed the line, haven't you?" His eyes met mine, a storm of curiosity and confusion that sent chills racing through me. In that brief moment, his face shifted, teetering between laughter and the gravity of the question, filling the space with tension. In that instant, he nodded, a choice born from the core of his determination. "No," he whispered, his voice steady. I raised an eyebrow, eyes locked on him, fighting to untangle the chaos of information laid out before me. A jolt of disbelief struck me hard. It left me breathless, caught in a fleeting moment of disbelief. He stood before me, a creation of my imagination. Yet he was not the person I had expected. An unparalleled presence. It was surreal. The truth of what had happened hovering just beyond grasp, poised to crash down at any moment. I fell silent, my unspoken thoughts pressing down like a storm. And away, each step weighed down by sorrow, battling the storm in my mind. The couch creaked as he moved, a haunting reminder of his presence, but I fought the impulse to look back. In the shadowy hallway, the weight of recent events pressed down, suffocating and undeniable. My body pulsed with raw energy, sensations crackling like lightning, while my mind spiraled into a storm of guilt and confusion. Have I done? A chill coursed through me as I understood I had crossed into an unknown realm. A wave of unease crashed over me, leaving me speechless, struggling to grasp the weight of this emotion. Adrenaline surged, thrill electrified my veins, a bond ignited my soul, yet a deep unease coiled in my stomach, a weight that wouldn't budge. It was a clash of certainty and doubt, a storm in my thoughts, fleeting and undefinable. An electric rush coursed through me, fueled by the moment's exhilaration, leaving no room for the looming aftermath. As the moment's heat dimmed, I became ensnared in an unending cycle, each detail haunting my thoughts. His gaze burned into me, a spark igniting the air between us. He mirrored my every move, instinctively, without hesitation. The intensity was electric, making the experience nothing short of extraordinary. It was a feeling that consumed me, unlike anything before. Against the cold wall of the dim hallway, I shut my eyes, fighting for breath, crushed by the weight of my guilt. A part of me ached to feel it again. Every heartbeat resonated with the thrill of the past, fueling an unquenchable desire inside me. A wave of urgency crashed over me, driving me to find the clarity I so desperately needed. A haunting question consumed me. Had I crossed a line I couldn't return from? Was it wrong? Is remorse warranted for this moment? Returning to the room, my heart raced. A storm of feelings churning inside, each pulse echoing my uncertainty. One truth lingered, impossible to ignore. This night would haunt my thoughts eternally. No matter the conclusion I reached, the emotions within me would linger, haunting my thoughts like an unyielding shadow. A question clawed at my mind. Is this really the path I should have chosen? I needed to know. I couldn't be the only one to feel this deep intensity.